Animal testing. Animal testing, also known as animal experimentation, animal research, and vivo testing, is the use of non-human animals in experiment that seek to control the variable that affects the behavior of biological system under study. The use of animals for medical and product testing is a practice that has gone on for many centuries. In the last couple centuries, many people have joined animal advocacy groups to stop animal testing. In the early 1200s, we used animals to further our understanding for medical advancement. In 1600, a scientist that went by the name of Robert Boyle had a theory that goes like, living beings need air to live, which is something no one knew at that time. He used animals to prove his theory. In 1996, science continued using animals for research in spite of protest. Dolly the sheep, who was the first cloned animal coming from an adult sheep cell, who eventually died. In 2014, an organization that goes by the name of PETA came to form. They are the largest animal advocacy group in the world. While animals may be needed for certain medical and scientific advancement, PETA works to protect animals to the best of their abilities. To further enhance our understanding on this issue, I had the great privilege to interview Melissa White, a youth campaigns correspondent at PETA. Each year, many millions of animals, including mice, rats, frogs, dogs, cats, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, monkeys, and fish, are killed in U.S. laboratories. Before their deaths, some are forced to inhale toxic fumes, others are immobilized in restraining devices for hours. Some have holes drilled into their skulls, and others have their skin burned off or their spinal cords crushed. In addition to the torment of the actual experiments, animals in the laboratories are deprived of everything that is natural and important to them. They are confined to barren cages, socially isolated, and psychologically traumatized. They think feelings animals who are used in experiments are treated like nothing more than disposable laboratory equipment. Animal experiments continue because they are part of the status quo. Whether or not their result applies to humans is irrelevant. Experimenters at universities, in private laboratories, and in governments are entrenched in the system, and they turn to animal experiments to address public concerns about human diseases. A vicious cycle persists in which students learn animal experimenters' methods and become experimenters themselves. Meanwhile, government funding agencies such as the National Institution of Health are staffed by animal experimenters who, according to several studies, are more likely to give grants to animal experimenters than the scientists who use non-animal methods. This creates a financial incentive to conduct animal experiments. Fortunately, the status quo is slowly changing as more people begin to criticize the scientific unreliability of animal experiments, and as young people refuse to see animals as means to humans' ends. You can take a stand against animal testing by purchasing only cruelty-free products, donate only to health charities that never fund animal experiments, and urge companies that still test on animals to adopt cruelty-free policies. If you are expected to perform or observe a dissection at school, talk to your teacher as early as possible about an alternative project. There are plenty of sophisticated alternatives, such as computer models that simulate animals' bodies without harming anyone. For more information on cruelty-free products or to order the cutout dissection pack, please visit PETA2.com. There aren't any pros since there are many alternatives available. Just as you can't figure out how to drive from New York City to San Francisco by looking at a map of Australia, animal experiments teach us nothing about humans because other species observe, metabolize, and eliminate substances differently than we do. Diseases that are artificially given to animals in laboratories are never the same as those that occur naturally in human beings. And because animal species differ from one another in many ways, especially on a cellular level where diseases originate, it's even more unlikely that animal experiments will yield results that can be meaningfully applied to humans. The species that are most frequently used in laboratory experiments are chosen mainly because they are cheap and easy to handle. This should be a clue that animal testing is unlikely to produce results that apply to humans. There are many research methods that are faster, more reliable, less expensive, and more humane than animal testing. These include human clinical studies, cadaver studies, high-power computer simulations, and studies that track the origin of diseases and how they spread. Creative scientists have used human brain cells to develop a model called microbrain that can be used to study tumors and also synthesize artificial skin and bone marrow. Silicon Valley computer scientists have teamed up with medical researchers to produce virtual models of organs such as the heart and pancreas, and diseases such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Other researchers have developed silicon chips that contain human cells from various organs in separate compartments. A test substance is injected into this chip to determine safety for different organs. Instead of killing animals, we can now test irritancy on the egg membranes, produce vaccines from cell cultures, and perform pregnancy tests using blood samples. Imagine you were the one being tested on. Imagine your skin being torn off alive. Imagine your arms and legs being ripped off while still alive. Imagine being burnt alive. Fellow classmates, even imagine losing your life, just so you can satisfy other species. Doesn't sound fun, does it? Now the question is, what will you do?